guys, WWTD. This week's episode. Look at the lovely weather. I'm here again in my molester van, running my dogs as I do every morning. There they are, making another cameo. Man, nasty weather out. Look at that. Just pure. Here, I'll roll down the window for you, just so you can really soak in what we're dealing with here. Yeah, just gnarly. It's been raining pretty much since the beginning of December. I think we've had like 3 or 4 sunny days literally since the beginning of the year. So I don't know why you people keep moving here. It's the summers are great, the winters suck big nuts. That's just the way it goes. And there's people moving here in flocks. I remember when I was in college, I literally met at a 30,000 person University of Colorado. I met like one other person that was from Portland the entire time. And when I moved back here, I didn't know one other person that actually moved here. And the weather hasn't changed since then, so I don't know why you people keep moving here, but I guess you're in search of quality of life or something. So anyway, it's happening, but this is what you get to deal with now that I've spent, I guess I'm 37. I lived in Colorado for about 5 years, so I've spent about 31 winters here. And let me tell you what, every single one of them sucks, including today. So anyway, I figured I'd sit in the van here where I'm dry and I'd shoot this little WWTD video. So aside from the weather that I've been complaining about here, I want to talk about something that I think is imperative to what's going on in the market right now, and also what I would do because I did it this week. We looked at a new rehab project, and it was a kind of a simple ranch. It was a bigger ranch though. It was about 1,700 square feet, but there was a single car garage, and then there was also a carport. So we could convert the single car garage to more living space and then frame in the carport for a 2-car garage. So we could bump it up to about 2,000 square feet, or we could just keep the single car garage in play with the carport / RV parking on the side and just put the house back together. It was a shell. Somebody bought it. They had grand aspirations of making it, the house they wanted to live in. Plans changed after they gutted it, so it's a shell. So I went to look at it, and the gal who owns it wanted $315,000, which is a price that we could pay and make money. But I didn't give her that number, and here's why. We're in a weird time right now. The market's probably in the 8th or 9th inning, depending on where you're at in terms of value appreciation, right? After we hit the 9th inning, I doubt we're going into extra innings on this one as far as values continuing to increase. I think that we're going to plane off, and probably certain areas will give back a little bit as inventory begins to creep up. Inventory's been so low for so long. I just think that's going to be the natural progression of things when inventory numbers hit 4, 5, 6, 7 months again, which they will at some point. But everything's been so artificially low, both in terms of interest rates and inventory. But that aside, the point here is that I didn't pay her the $315, even though we could have made money doing that. Because I didn't want to chase the market up, and I started doing comps and trying to figure out what we could sell it for, and I realized I was getting hopeful. I was getting hopeful on my numbers, and when you get hopeful on your numbers, you're feeding yourself a bunch of hopium, and you're chasing the market up, and I didn't want to do that. So I actually caught myself doing it. Called her up, and I told her the most we could pay her is $300,000, which is a number that I'm a lot more comfortable with. But it's two-pronged. Number one is I didn't want to chase the market up. And number two is I didn't want to blow the opportunity cost, right? The opportunity cost of engaging in a project that maybe isn't as profitable as the next one that could show up, right? Those of us that are actually doing projects and not just wholesaling, we've only got so much bandwidth in terms of capital, financing, manpower, whatever it is. And so the key to really making a lot of money in this business is managing your opportunity cost when it comes to projects. You don't want to take on a project just for the sake of taking on a project because it makes a few bucks if you have a good marketing machine, and you could potentially pass on that project. As hard as it is sometimes, pump the brakes, pass on the project, and say, you know what, it makes money, but it doesn't make enough money. That's one of the hardest decisions to make, especially right now in the market cycle with where things are, because greed is kicked in. Everybody's posting checks saying how much money they made. Everything's selling so quickly, it's hard to fight against the greed roller coaster. It really is. You got to pump the brakes and step back a little bit and say, okay, am I potentially losing out on some opportunity cost by engaging my resources, both financially and otherwise, into this project, whereas I could kind of shelf it, or offer less money, and if they end up taking less money, great, or just shelf it and move on, and try and find something that is a little better fit, so that you're not potentially losing out by taking that project as opposed to another one that comes. Now, it's hard to do that when the other one hasn't appeared yet, right? The next project hasn't appeared that might be more profitable and better, but I think that that's a smart move right now, to do that based on where we're at in the market cycle. So, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, maybe not, because the market continues, we're in the fourth inning, fifth inning at that point of this market cycle. And even if you are chasing the market a little bit at that point, you get it back on the other end. Right now, I don't think you're going to get it back on the other end. If anything, I think it's going to start to compress a little bit once we get through the summer buying season. So anyway, point of this episode is, number one, don't chase the market up. And number two, we'll go two, is, be mindful of your opportunity cost. If you engage in one project, you're potentially not able to engage in another, and the other one might be better financially for you in the business. So those are the two things that I would do this week. And as always, I may not walk on water, but I do walk on my own job sites. I'll see you guys in the audio podcast.